Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So, interestingly, Badou Jack knocks out Ilunga Makabu to become the new WBC Cruiserweight Champion. This of course makes Badou Jack, a freeweight world champion. He was world champion at 168. Although having said that, I think the title he held at 175 was a regular title. Let's say 2-weight world champion, but regardless, Badou Jack winning a cruiserweight title is pretty impressive, I would say. It's certainly not something I predicted when Badou Jack moved up to cruiserweight. And you know, considering the career Badou Jack has had, I think he deserves a moment like this. Always been a good pro, fought good competition, had some unlucky moments in his career. The one that really comes to mind is the James DeGale fight. I felt he clearly beat James DeGale in that unification fight, but it was ruled a draw, of course. So yeah, congrats to Badou Jack, a good win and a good accomplishment to add to his resume, no doubt about it. One thing I noticed early on in this fight was that Makabu's never been a guy who is technically sound. Makabu, kind of in his prime, always used to get through based on his power, his strength, and his toughness. However, that didn't seem to be there tonight. One thing I immediately noticed was how bad his balance was. And again, he's never been great in regards to balance, but it looked even worse tonight. Like he couldn't get his bearings. His feet were incredibly slow, and to me it seemed like for the most part Makabu was pushing his punches after a few rounds. After like 4 or 5 rounds he was fighting with his mouth open, breathing heavily, that sort of thing. And yeah, he just looked, again, I'm not trying to take away credit from Badou Jack, but you've got to be honest with what you see, and I saw a guy who was well past his best. Badou Jack is 39 years old. Ilunga Makabu apparently is only 35 years old, but it looked the complete opposite. And I have to be honest, I don't really trust Ilunga Makabu's listed age, quite frankly. But yeah, Badou Jack started the fight well, boxing behind his jab, trying to stay on the outside. He was picking some good straight right hands to the body in round 1, and that was something that Badou Jack did throughout this fight. He was always looking for openings to the body, and the straight right hand in particular was a shot that was working for Badou Jack. Rounds 2 and 3 were a lot closer in my opinion. I felt that Ilunga Makabu started to try to apply that pressure. He got Badou Jack stationary a couple of times, and he threw some clubbing punches, particularly to the body. That's where Makabu's best work was, to Badou Jack's body, like a scooping uppercut to the body, hooks to the body out of that southpaw stance, right hook to the body, that sort of thing. And yeah, Makabu made rounds 2 and 3 close. You could have scored those rounds to him actually, in my opinion. But Badou Jack came back with a good round 4. Makabu actually was having a decent round 4. I felt he was outworking Badou Jack, to be honest. Badou Jack was the guy throughout this fight who was always picking the classier shots, but there were moments when he was getting outworked by Badou Jack, and round 4 was one of those rounds in my opinion. But towards the end, Makabu gets a little too trigger happy. He squares up to throw a shot, and Badou Jack times him with a straight right hand, which sends Makabu down. Makabu wasn't hurt or anything like that, but really well timed shot by Badou Jack, and you saw the superior technique of Badou Jack starting to come through. After round 4, I felt Badou Jack more or less was in control. There were a couple of rounds which I felt Makabu may have won based on his work rate, but when we're talking about the eye-catching shots, the cleaner shots, the technically more proficient shots, they were all coming from Badou Jack in my opinion. He was countering effectively, landing his straight right hand, again working the body really well, and again you could tell in there that Badou Jack was the far more technically proficient boxer. don't get me wrong, Makabu was making these rounds competitive. Like he was trying to get close. And when he did let go of shots. But everything that Makabu was doing just looked so forced. It looked like everything was an effort for Makabu. But you know, he won some rounds. I mean, the commentary team on this fight, I'm not sure what TV channel I was watching. I'm currently watching a live stream. I'm not sure what TV channel it was, but they made out like Ilunga Makabu won no rounds. He certainly won rounds in this fight, you know, purely based on activity, but I did agree with their assessment that Badou Jack was the guy who looked more comfortable. He was the guy landing the more eye-catching shots. And yeah, he looked more in control, I would say. As this fight played out, as it went to the later rounds, Makabu, you know, you could tell that he was physically spent. Again, he was still trying, but breathing heavy. At this point in time, towards like rounds 8, 9, 10, etc., Makabu was really pushing his punches at this point in time. He was trying speculative right hooks out of his southpaw stance, trying to catch Badou Jack around his guard. Even when he landed that shot, didn't really affect Badou Jack. And yeah, Badou Jack was biding his time, picking some good counters, working the body well, going through, you know, we know how Badou Jack is. He is systematic in his approach, good high guard, doesn't get wasteful with punches. Badou Jack was doing what Badou Jack does really, technical boxing behind that high guard. Round 11, Ilunga Makabu once again gets dropped. Once again, it's with a right hand, though this time Badou Jack, it's not a straight right hand, it's like an overhand right that's got a curve to it. He catches Makabu on the side of the head around his guard. Makabu goes down. More hurt this time in round 11. Round 4, he wasn't hurt when he went down, but in round 11, he was certainly a little bit buzzed, in my opinion. And round 12 was where the fight ended. Ilunga Makabu's corner said you have to knock out Badou Jack, which I agreed with. He tried to get aggressive. Badou Jack half step back, boom, straight right hand counter. It rocks Ilunga Makabu. He goes backpedaling into the ropes. Badou Jack then opens up with a flurry of punches. Makabu's trying to defend himself. A few shots get through, but the referee jumps in and waves it off. And that was the fight. Badou Jack is the new WBC Cruiserweight Champion. Congrats to Badou Jack. It's a good accomplishment, like I said. Another title in another weight class. Good win on paper, though it has to be said. Makabu has seen better days. But so's Badou Jack at the same time, right? Badou Jack's not exactly a spring chicken, but, you know, at least Badou Jack's always got his fundamentals to fall back on, whereas Makabu doesn't really have fundamentals, and when you get older, when you lose that speed, when you lose that durability, when you lose a bit of that power, you know, that's when you're in trouble. When you're not a technical fighter, you know, when you get older, when you can't rely on those technical skills, you get found out, and that's what happened in this fight, in my opinion. As for Badou Jack, I mean, Makabu, in my opinion, based on what I saw, should retire. As for Badou Jack, big win for him, but honestly, as well as he boxed at times, I don't think this guy poses a threat for any of the other cruiserweight champions, like a Lawrence Okoli, for example. Lawrence Okoli is just far too big for my money. Jay Opataya, again, I would say he's far too big. Even someone like Richard Riakporhe would be too big for Badou Jack. If I'm Badou Jack, what I would try to do is get a fight with, if I'm going to continue, try and get a fight with Sergey Kovalev. I believe Kovalev is ranked by the WBC. That might be a good fight. But aside from fights like that, I think Badou Jack gets destroyed by the top cruiserweights, have to be honest. But yeah, good solid win for Badou Jack. I think he was the underdog going into this fight, so fair play to him. I think his career deserves a moment like this. Anyway, share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Delboy, peace.